Why do you scream at me? The 5 elements of a financial model. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to get clarity into your business, understand where your money's going, how you make money, the margins in your business, because the truth is most entrepreneurs don't even look at their numbers. They might actually get a financial report at the end of the year, and they look at they pretty much get their street and they go to the last number to say, did I make any profit? And then they go drink. They either drink because they had a great year or they had a bad year. And I really think there's a better way to test and understand your financial model. My favorite example is from an entrepreneur named Goggin. He started a company called Sprig. I was an investor in his previous company called Udemy, and then he started Sprig, so I was like, I'm in, man. Whatever you do, I'm in. And it was a food delivery company. Still, it's an awesome service. I use it every time I go to San Francisco. And what I love is the early days of trying to understand the financials, the operational model, the different aspects of the investment model for investors. Is he didn't build a whole lot of stuff. He just tested it on one day using Eventbrite and email marketing. And I mean, it's crazy. So just so you understand, it is a tool to order food, organic food to your house. Now, he didn't build a mobile app. He essentially woke up and said, here's how we're going to run the test. We sent an email to a bunch of people. They subscribed. They ordered through Eventbrite, so not even some fancy checkout page. And then on the day they did it, they would deliver between 5 and 9. You could then order it from there. You told them when you wanted to schedule it. And he was sitting there with the dispatch. He had to hire drivers. He had to get the food prepped. He would sit there with a Google map and understood when he dispatched a driver, he would it wasn't even a Google map. He physically had a map and said, here's where the driver is. And then he would dispatch the next one. Here's where the driver is. Totally manual. But what happened is that gave him the economic model, the financial model, to then make a decision to continue and pursue that idea, eventually raise, I think, over $20 million in funding so far, and is really one of the best entrepreneurs I've ever worked with. So what I want to walk you through is the way I think of business and the different financial models. Number one is the revenue model. How are you going to get paid? How much are you going to get paid? When are you going to get paid? Those are the things that you kind of need to understand. So if you have a product or service, you got to figure out how are you going to price it? How are customers going to pay for it? How often are they going to buy? That is the revenue model. That's number one. 2 is the gross margin model. Out of the money that you charge the customer in the revenue, how much is going to go towards delivering on that product or service, and what's left over? That's the gross margin model. That's going to tell you if you have money to then support the business and actually eventually make profit. The 3rd is the operating model. What's the cost to actually operate the business? What does it take from the support to the marketing costs to your administrative costs to infrastructure, services, software? Those are the parts of the business that a lot of entrepreneurs are like, man, I could charge $10,000 for this and it only cost me $2,000. Yeah, but there's a whole another $6,000 worth of operating costs that you haven't even considered. So that's the operating model. The 4th, to me, is the working capital model. Many entrepreneurs go out there, maybe you've done this, and you have a good idea for a business or even a new line of business inside of your current business, and you don't realize that it's going to take capital or money to actually expand into that new line or even start the business. There's going to be a point of time where you need to understand how much revenue do I need to generate from my customers to eventually, after you actually pay out the operating model and the gross margin, to make enough money to support the business. And that is a time function revenue. You can put that on a graph and figure out the exact moment in time if you understand those other financial models. That is super important, especially if you're starting off, and it's really important if you have an existing business that you're trying to scale into a new line of business, because you're gonna have to support that growth from your existing revenues and profit in your business. The 5th model you need to understand is your investment model. How fast would somebody, if they put $1 into the business, how quick could they get the $1 back out of the business? That is your investment model. And if you're ever going to raise money or talk to the bank, they're going to want to know these. So just so you understand, doesn't matter if you're starting from day one or you've been going for a while, you need to understand these 5. Number 1 is revenue model. Figure out how often you're going to get paid, how much you're going to get paid, what are they going to pay? That's the revenue model. The operating margin model, so that's figuring out what's the cost of goods sold to deliver that product or service, how much is left over after. Then you've got your operating model, which is kind of the middle of the financial chassis that says how much do I have to spend to support the business from an administrative, customer service, refunds, software you're going to have to invest in. Then you have your working capital. If I put money into the business, life savings, sweat equity, etc. How quick can I expect to make that money back? And then investment, if I gave you $1 in this business and it went through your system, when would I get it back and at what kind of interest can I expect? Those are the 5 different operating financial models for your business. You want to sketch them out. You want to have some thoughts around how they all work. And just as a rule of thumb, I'm just going to share this, that typically businesses, and this is different for different industries, but the typical gross margin is 60%. So you got to understand, if you sell something for $4, it should cost you around $1 to deliver the product or good, not including your operating model, but just the cost of goods sold. Just to give you a ballpark in case you're wondering, because without that, you're not going to have enough profit at the end of the day to actually reinvest in your growth. Now I want to ask you, what is unique about your business? Because here's what I've learned. The entrepreneurs that decide to not go and get a $100,000 loan from the bank or raise $1 million of venture capital, that constraint of not having money and building that business breeds creativity. I want to hear from you below in the comments and let me know what's the most creative solution to a problem you've ever had in your business that's impacted the financial model and how you actually make money in your business. Leave a comment below if it's not a trade secret. I'd love to hear from you. And as per usual, I want to challenge you to live a bigger life and a bigger business, and I'll see you next Monday. Yo, 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 what's up? If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to my channel where I share other tips on how to start and scale your business. I'd also invite you to join my newsletter where I share exclusive community contests, invites to private events, as well as other free training videos. And if you're ready to get going, you want some more Dan Martell, click on one of those videos and you are all set. Hope you had a great day. Hope this video finds you well. Pumped to have you here, and I'll see you next week.